At this time, I'm pleased to introduce the first of our 4 finalists for tonight's challenge. The company's name is MASH. We have 3 representatives here. Is that correct?
2 are going to speak, 1's going to stay.
Okay, all right. They're excited to pitch their business plans to the fast-track judges. They currently operate MASH in Eagan, a sports and human development company. They are proposing a new, proactive approach to training athletes and inspiring an entire community of growth with a brand-new facility in Savage. Their current team includes strength training and youth baseball club. They will expand services in physical therapy, chiropractic, nutrition, psychology, and providing collaborative resources for their clients. MASH will continue to promote a positive environment as a way to engage and develop the next generation through the creation of space and programming, coaching, and culture. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for having us. My name's Steve McGuigan. This is Tom Buski. We're the owners of MASH. We have been since 2012, so Tom and I are coming up on our 10-year anniversary together of being in business. So we've been around each other a long time. So this is our first time being in a setting like this. We're very excited. So MASH, as they said, is a human performance center, but really for us, when we got together in 2012, our goal was to inspire growth. And so Tom and myself played high school baseball together at Apple Valley High School. We grew up here. He was a gopher. I called him to maybe be a gopher. Wasn't quite good enough. Ended up going to Chicago for school. And when I came back, Tom had started a baseball club. I reached out to him. I just connected with him. We met at a Caribou Coffee, and from there we said, okay, let's go out and do club baseball. And at this time, that was really not anything that was going on inside of this state. It was pretty brand new. It was different. So I'm 23 years old, living in my parents' basement, and I told him I'm going to be the president of Tom's baseball club. They weren't too juiced. But I believed in his message, and that's why we wanted to start here, because we wanted to create a community that inspires growth. And that is the basis of everything that we're going to talk about tonight. Being athletes, youth sports in general can be a really difficult thing to navigate. And we wanted to make sure that we were there to help people through that process. So in order to do that, I think I got to give you guys just a quick history of who we are and what's led us to being up here in front of you guys. So we started together in 2012. This is our first ever facility. So what we did is we started with 24 kids. We just trained them outside in Quarry Point in Apple Valley. And we called it a mashup. We just ran practices, and that led us to subleasing space in a facility in Burnsville, which is on that bottom left right there. And up above there, where that white wall is, was a mezzanine space. That was our gym. So not a very friendly environment for a gym, but it was important to us. And in the first 3 years of this space, we had about 1.5 cages, and we outgrew it. And it was a big deal for us to make a move to our next and current home 5 years in, which is located in Eagan, which you'll see up here. This is our current home. And the biggest thing that we did inside of this place was, in our first facility, we were known as a baseball club. And with our gym up in that mezzanine space, we started understanding that that gym was having a huge impact, not only on our kids physically, but mentally. And it was changing our culture. So inside of this new business, or a new facility, we put our performance right out front. So when you walked in, we made a commitment to having strength conditioning an enormous part of what we do in inspiring growth. So there's an 8,000 square foot gym inside this facility, which now has 4 full-time strength coaches, as well as a 12,000 square foot turf space, which we used just for baseball training at the time. So this was a huge move for us. It allowed for us to have our own culture, our own music, our own way that we set stuff up. And within 2 years of being able to have that, we sold this space out. So for the last 3 years, we've been operating on this space where we actually can't allow anyone else to come into our facility based on capacity, which has led us to get here in front of you guys and coming to Scott County. So that leads us to where we're going now. So this is our vision of how we can now create the most amount of growth, inspire the most amount of growth inside of our community. So this is a 65,000 square foot building right here in Scott County in Savage. The picture on the right is a birthday gift from my girlfriend of flying a drone over and taking a little picture for me, which I thought we'd throw on there so everybody can kind of see where we're going to be located. And on this parcel, we'll also have 2 baseball fields. So for us, this is finally a vision coming full circle and allowing for us to actually have control of the environment, of how we schedule our practices, of how our community works together, of how we are inside of the facility. From top to bottom, this is actually a MASH campus, and we feel like after what we've been through the last couple of years, we haven't been more confident in our mission to inspire growth.
So I brought a new slideshow, so we're gonna have to work with me here. We're gonna go backwards and forwards, but I thought we'd be able to pull it up. So as Steve mentioned, the last decade's been a blessing. We've been working daily to pursue our mission, and that includes the staff we hire and the values that we teach, and the commitment to not only have the good conversations, but the tough ones. Like everyone, the last 2 years has been extremely difficult. We've had to make tough choices. How do we move forward? How do we reopen? At the end of the day, we were shut down for a third of 2020, over 100 days. Through it all, one thing was certain. People invest in their future, and the future is the next generation. The business we are in and the demographics we generally serve have proven extremely resilient through the last 18 months. Youth sports and the industry we are in has expanded rapidly since the early 2000s, with an anticipated market of over $77 billion by 2026. We've seen a surge in participation in the last year and are positioning ourselves to expand not just from a baseball club, but to serve a wide variety of clients. So this diagram essentially shows the current market and landscape, and it's bucketed into kind of 3 separate categories. So the first category would be kind of what we're known for, which are youth sports and skill training. So for us, most youth sports organizations focus just on that sport. And then what they'll do is they'll partner with fitness centers or local gyms in their community to service their athletes on the strength and conditioning side. In addition to that, athletes have injuries, acute injuries or chronic injuries that they'll need physical therapy for, they'll need orthopedic surgery for. And so our goal as we move forward is to transition to a sport performance center that accomplishes all of these things under one roof. And the mission and the vision is to really have the performance center at the heart and soul of what we do, and the baseball club being an ancillary factor and benefactor of those resources. So our athletes in our community can come to us for all of those aspects, not just baseball. For us, this is kind of a new way to do things in the market. It hasn't necessarily been done before. It's much more akin to a Division I college athletics department than it is in a youth sports environment. And there really isn't any other space like we're going to create in Scott County. And there really isn't any other business doing it the way that we'll do it in the market, not just in Scott County, but really in the Twin Cities market as a whole. So since 2017, we've had the opportunity to work with almost 2,000 families, and we've had close to a 90% retention rate with those families, and that doesn't take into account graduation. A lot of our athletes graduate every year. And most of these families are families with youth athletes that drop their kids off at our facility and will go enter the local market to spend their dollars. So not only is this an asset to the community for youth sports and the facilities it provides, but it's also going to provide dollars spent in the local community, because families will go to the grocery store, go to restaurants, go to coffee shops, and they'll spend money above and beyond what they're participating with for us. So our goal in this new facility is to double our gross revenue by 2025 through our community relationships and some of the new business streams that we've talked about. We currently have 11 full-time employees that work inside of our current facility in Eagan. And our goal and our projections are to have roughly 25 full-time employees by 2025, and an estimated growth in our overall payroll spend by over $800,000 a year. There is, I think, in the packet of information, more descriptive historical and projected financial information as well. I just didn't include it in the slides. And we did have an image of our overall layout in the new PowerPoint, but I think that is also in the packet as well. So you can kind of see the overall campus layout that includes outdoor fields. So what are our action items? What are our next steps to accomplish? Well, I think me and a couple other people, I know Stacy, we're going to the Planning Commission meeting in about 30, 40 minutes here over at Savage. So that's the immediate next step in order for this process to continue to move forward. We are also at the same time wrapping up our financing and our investment, and we plan to break ground as early as possible in the spring of 2022. And that will allow us to open our doors by November 1st or about this time next year.
So for us, it's been an interesting journey. It's an interesting thing to take 10 years and put it into 10 minutes. But we viewed this as everything we've done up to this point has been with the vision to get where we are literally right here in the next 2 weeks. We're very excited. We're very humbled to be up front here and have a 10-year vision coming to fruition, and we're excited to do it right here in Scott County.
On the nut again.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation there. Now we'll have a Q&A from the judges or with the judges. And when we had 5, it was going to be easy. One person starts, one next. But I think, Charles, do you want to start this round?
Sure, thank you. Appreciate it. Given how great the panel of judges are here, this might be the last time I get the microphone. So I thought I'd just quickly say just a quick few words about Patrick Stroll. Adam Prohl in the audience introduced me to Patrick in 2016, and I'll be totally frank, I was a little skeptical at the idea, but he came into my office and tremendous amount of charisma, tremendous vision, and frankly, he could have talked me into anything that day. He happened to talk me into being a judge on this panel, but he was quite a salesman, quite a guy. But I think it's safe to say, obviously, in year number 5, that his vision and his goal to keep and create jobs in Scott County has certainly come to fruition because of this program. So thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. So with that, great presentation. I really appreciate it. I've, of course, come prepared with questions to ask, and you answered my first one, which was the impact of COVID, so I appreciate that, and appreciate that struggle for sure that we've all had. My next question was, obviously one of the big criteria here, right, is Scott County job creation, and you have a very large building, and I commend you for a very big goal and very, very large vision. But when I think about it, I think about total addressable market, and I think about when you're tied to a physical location, the driving distance, right? And before a new Best Buy is built, for example, they fly an airplane over the building and they count the number of houses, within a 10-mile radius of that building. So I'm curious about like the average driving distance. I think this year you've got in baseball and performance 1,172 athletes. If you've thought about the average driving distance, how that might impact your growth, and what the total addressable market is, the total number of potential athletes and customers as you try to grow your business over the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's a great question. I know for us, we really considered that when we were looking at space. So our number one goal was to build, because we needed clear span and it's just not available in the market. So we view it as kind of a shift, but there's a great opportunity. As you know, Scott County is expanding down the 169 corridor, so there's going to be a ton of new families coming in. And so for us, we also draw from really a wide variety. I mean, we have families that come to us from Albert Lee, from Duluth, from Brainerd area, all the way to Eau Claire. The older they get, the wider our net is cast. And this facility will allow us to open doors to potential new customers in different sports. So we've only ever really done baseball. So the goal for us would be to partner with potentially 1 or 2 other local organizations that can view this as their home, where they come there and they train, much less than what a Savage Sports Dome is, where they come there and they rent space. We want this to be viewed when you walk in the doors as a place that you train and a place that you call home. And so this just gives us the opportunity to continue to expand that reach.
I have a little bit of a follow-up question to that. You talk about being maxed out in your current facility, which means you've got a lot of demand. When you talk about these numbers, as they escalate and grow, how many more youth athletes do you need? And right now, is that kind of group of athletes kind of on this waiting list that wants to come to your facility, or are you needing to spend kind of marketing costs to kind of influence them away from somebody else to come to your facility?
So I think that in the packet of information, it also outlines just, there's a transition in baseball specifically to club baseball. There's 1,300 youth baseball teams in Minnesota alone. And that's transitioning much more from like a community base to a club base. And that was largely due to COVID. It's been talked about in our industry for the last decade, and we've always shied away from it, but the community people that were providing the resources in the community really weren't able to get baseball up and running last year. And it was a function of the timing. I mean, COVID happened mid-March where everyone's like trying out and getting their seasons up and running. And people didn't have options locally, and they decided to do their own thing. So for us, it's almost, we had to move in that direction and provide opportunities for our younger teams as well, because other organizations were. So if we weren't, we were just going to get passed up. So we largely ran teams at 15s and up. Now we run teams all the way down to 10U throughout the year. So it's expanding that way as well. We're just providing more services to younger clients.
And if you ask our client manager, she'd tell you that her biggest issue is the wait list, because she'll get somebody who calls and says, hey, I'd like to get in. And right now, she literally has to tell them that they can't. And she's been doing that for 3 years now. So it puts her in a really tough spot. And it puts us in a tough spot because that pushes people to go to other clubs when they want to originally start with us. And a lot of that, there's a lot of good clubs, right? There's a lot of good performance training. So if they're not able to get in with us at first, they'll find a new home, and we want that to stop happening.
Thank you.
My question, I actually have 3 questions. One is I wanted to see if you could touch on adding in physical therapy and sports medicine. I mean, it seems that your current business model, I'm looking at your 3 circles, that currently you're focused in 2 of the circles, and this is a new circle that you're contemplating. And if you would share with us how it is that you would see making your way there. Is that a partnering opportunity? Is it someone currently providing those services? So if you could touch on that circle, it looks like you're looking for revenue in 2022 there. That's question 1. Question 2 is, what are the other partnering relationships that you currently rely on in your current model, and what are the new ones that you would anticipate? You touched on also some of the other sports outside of baseball. I'd be interested in what those sports are. So really three questions.
Yeah, I'll start with the first one. So right now inside our current facility, we're partnered with Premier Sport and Spine. So they have a very small office space, but we do already have a letter of intent with a prominent, how am I allowed to say it? Prominent orthopedic company right now. Sorry, there's rules involved with that I can't say, but that's been through a relationship from our performance staff. They've been really great at referring out our athletes for the last 10 years. So when we came to them with this idea, it was really synergistic in what they wanted to do. And it's been really our easiest process of having them join what we do. And then I'll let Tom answer the second part as well.
So for us, in addition to that, we'll be able to offer these gray area services. Physical therapy and more specifically insurance only covers so much. So for us, we'll have sport performance and professionals that can blend a full return to sport, where PT might only cover you to a certain extent. So for us, there's an opportunity above and beyond just a lease relationship with an orthopedic company. And in addition to that, we're looking for kind of synergistic partners, not necessarily someone that can just fill our space, but shares common values with us. And we'll be shoulder to shoulder with them in our facility. So we want to make sure that they're doing and running their organization the similar ways that we would, because we will have a pretty intimate relationship, and we're looking for partners that share that vision and then also value the other resources that will be inside of the facility as well, so then everyone collectively can benefit. And It just depends. I mean, we're looking at lacrosse organizations, soccer, softball, just different sports outside of baseball.
Nice job. This is cool.
Thank you.
My question, yeah, really impressive. And your financials look great. Question for you is, so my kids are like rec league baseball players, and we're more in the like club hockey scene. What do you imagine as the prime sports targets for your facility outside of baseball? You're talking about, we want to bring other sports in. Who are those target populations?
Yeah, I think softball and soccer would be the easiest to go. Softball, we could literally take our model and
Yeah.
plug that in and have them go through it. And soccer, just from a spacing standpoint.
Sure.
We also have friends who are in lacrosse. So lacrosse makes me a little more weary just because they're hucking those balls all over the place. I'm not looking to get those dents everywhere, but that's also a possibility.
So what are the alternatives that people are choosing right now if they're not choosing MASH for their performance or their training? I mean, I'm thinking about Lifetime, and I'm also thinking about the Sports Dome, and you've touched on them, but where are the dollars being spent if they're not being spent with you?
Yeah, there's a number of youth sports organizations. There's competitors in the market. There's, Starters, North Star, Blizzard, Great Lakes. There are these organizations similar to us on the baseball side of things, but they haven't invested in the strength and conditioning and the resources and essentially the human resources that we have.
Sure.
So it's a little bit different in that regard. And then there are still community options and things of that nature if you're not quite as serious. The plan is to be more conducive to like field sports. We're not going to build hockey rinks, so probably shy away from hockey.
Maybe curling in the winter.
On the
you go.
strength side, our population that we typically work with, I mean, we have added 65 adults in the last year to our membership base in the gym. But it's primarily youth athletes that have no training experience, so they need someone there to show them how to train effectively. And so for us, it's really important to create that for them. And our model is more of a personal training in a small group setting. Okay. So you come, you get assessed, you get a program based on your specific goals and needs and how often you want to come. And our strength coaches are there to help facilitate their programming daily. So it's more content-based than it is duration-based when they come.
We're getting down to our final minute, and we want to give our final judge, Joseph, some time here.
Only a minute. Only
If you go over a minute, we'll allow it.
Now, I'll be quick. Youth sports has become really big business, hasn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
it's amazing. To answer the first question, my daughter played on a club softball team based in North Carolina. So if you build it, they will come. That's the answer to your question.
Yeah.
It's a really big building. So how do you pay for it in the summertime when there's nobody in it?
Oh, there'll be a lot of people in the summer.
Tell me about that.
yeah.
Well, we have, in the summer right now, we have close to 300 clients that are in there consistently throughout the year in our performance center.
So is it a membership-based model that you operate or a subscription-based model?
Yeah, the gym is month to month.
Okay.
And it's anywhere between $125 for a 2-time-a-week youth membership to people pay $400 a month for unlimited training. And so it's much more relationship-based with our coaching staff. It's not a gym that you can come into and just use the equipment. It's not a Lifetime. It's not a Dakota. You're not going to go in there and just use the weights and leave. But we'll be able to expand our adult model a lot. We'll be able to expand all of our performance. We're increasing our performance footprint by about between 2,500 and 3,000 square feet. Because we anticipate with orthopedic, there's going to be a lot of overflow of clients from there that are going to train with us as well. So we've created a pretty consistent cash flow throughout the year, and the strength and conditioning with the baseball has been a really good synergy. And our baseball club's transitioning to more of an annual kind of subscription or team fee model as well. So there's going to be a consistent cash flow throughout the year.
Perfect. Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.